A group of strange men and women were living in a mysterious underground cavern. They rose up from pools of water underground. They circled around an ancient pool and drank the water. That caused their hands to glow orange. These people had an almost clay-like appearance. When the cavern started to shake and collapse, the group ran away and went through what appeared to be a portal inside a small body of water. They got teleported out into the wilderness, seemingly on Earth. Those people then began to shed their real appearance and transformed into humans. Their skins appeared to be like those of Native Americans. Their leader was called Chafa. She led the people to move forward. The timeline then jumped forward to 2007 in Tamaha, Oklahoma. A young Maya, Echo, and her cousin, Bonnie, were discussing the origin story of the first Choctaw people that were revealed in the beginning. Maya was a deaf child and lived with her family. Maya's parents and grandparents were having a nice evening. The family sat around singing together. Maya's grandmother, Chula, noticed a very specific bird, which was also shown in the retelling of the Choctaw people as she was leaving that evening. That same evening, Maya asked her mother, who was also deaf, for hot chocolate. Unfortunately, they were out of hot chocolate. So, Maya and her mother decided to buy some at the store. They headed out together in a car. On their way, their car's brakes failed. The car could not stop, and they were in an intersection. Another vehicle hit their car from the side. Maya's mother was killed in the accident, and Maya also got injured to the point that her right leg had to be amputated. It was later revealed by her father, William, that the brakes on the car were cut. It seemed that it was meant for him. Chula put the blame on William. She already had distrust of William due to the troubles he and his brother had gotten into in the past. After Maya left the hospital, she and her father left Tamaha and headed to New York. Because of that, Maya was separated from Bonnie and Chula. In New York, Maya struggled to fit in. William told her that she needed to learn to navigate between two worlds. He wanted Maya to have a better life than what he had. Her father enrolled her in school and martial arts. He also began to work for Wilson Fisk, also known as Kingpin. Kingpin had endeared himself to Maya from a young age as a surrogate uncle. Years later, Maya had already become a grown woman. She had become a highly skilled and dangerous fighter. She also had a prosthetic leg. One day, she arrived at her father's repair shop, which was actually just a front for his shady dealings. There, she witnessed Ronan killing multiple members of the Tracksuit Mafia, including her father. Maya mourned her father's death. When she was standing by his grave, she got a text from her cousin, Bonnie, telling her that she did not have to go through things alone, and that she was there for her if she needed her. However, Maya just ignored the texts, seemingly having a raging storm inside her. Maya had broken into a bike dealership and was trying to steal a bike. The police found her and they surrendered her. Having no care, Maya put on a hair tie on the bike's accelerator, making it whizzed outside and smashed the windscreen of the dealership. It also destroyed a police car in the process. Maya was arrested, and while the police were trying to put handcuffs on her, the Kingpin showed up and decided to save her from the police. Then they were in a car. Kingpin was talking to Maya, as someone translated what he said in sign language to her. Kingpin said that he was concerned about her. He said that he understood her rage by telling his own story about how his father was also killed when he was 12. He told Maya he wanted to help her release her rage in a more constructive way. Maya asked how, to which he answered with a job. He told her that there was greatness in her, and told her to take her hurt, loss, and pain, and to make them into something useful. That seemed to have intrigued Maya. On her first job, Maya had to accompany two guys who were also working for Kingpin to get rid of a gang who was looking to move in on his territory. This job would be Maya's trial. The two guys underestimated her at first, saying that they should babysit Maya. The three of them were going to enter a room for a meeting, and a guard was inspecting them before they could come in. When it was Maya's turn, the guard started to grope her, so she attacked him by pushing him onto the wall. Then the three of them proceeded to go inside. The two guys ambushed the gang's activity and a fight broke out. Maya looked to be caught off guard at first, not really knowing what to do. Then one of the gang members attacked Maya and started punching her, but Maya fought back and killed him, That seemed to turn on Maya's fighting mode. She began to join in on the fight and attacked the gang members. The two guys she came with were impressed by her. Suddenly, someone attacked them. It was Daredevil. He showed up and immediately started sparring with Maya. The two of them got into a fight for some time before Daredevil disappeared. Kingpin was impressed with Maya because she managed to hold her own. He called Maya as a part of his family, telling her that now she had a place and a purpose. He decided they should work together from then on. Maya started to really work under Kingpin's wings. When they were talking, Kingpin told Maya that he had dedicated all his resources into bringing Maya's father's killer to justice. Maya pointed out that when Kingpin found the killer, he was hers to deal with. Kingpin agreed. Then Maya finally got head-to-head with Ronin, her father's killer, who was actually the Hawkeye. He told Maya, in sign language, that they were the same. They were filled with rage which made them blind. They could be used and manipulated. Ronin revealed to Maya that Kingpin was the one who wanted Maya's father dead. Eventually, Maya confronted Kingpin and shot him. Maya was on a bike and stopped at a gas station. She had a nasty gash across her stomach, and she tried to patch herself up with some bandage. Then she continued back on the road. Turns out, Maya went back to her home in Oklahoma. However, the house she used to live in during her childhood was dark and looked to be unoccupied. She still remembered where to find the key to the house, and she went inside. She stitched up her wound using whatever she could find. After that, Maya went to lay down. She closed her eyes, but then visions of the past started to flash. The visions seemed to be about the Native American ancestors and also the Choctaw people. Those visions startled Maya from her slumber. It was already morning, and someone was creeping into the house. Whoever that was then tried to get into the house. Feeling threatened, Maya took out her gun and was ready to attack. Turns out it was Biscuits, Maya's old friend. He was surprised that Maya came home, and he told her she looked the same after 20 years. He asked her how long she would be in town, and Maya said not long. A dog started to bark. It was Biscuit's dog, Billy Jack. He then signed to the dog introducing Maya, telling the dog that she was their cousin and a good person. Biscuits showed Maya around the house. He said that he wished he knew beforehand that Maya was coming. Maya told him that she was there only in and out for a business thing. She told him not to tell anybody that she was there, and to keep things between the two of them. When Maya was about to walk away, Biscuits told her that it was good to see her. Maya was heading somewhere. She stopped by a fire department, but she hid herself behind a wall, spying on someone. Turns out she was spying on Bonnie, her cousin from afar, who seemed to be working there. Then Maya ended up at the skate ring. She tried telling the guy who worked behind the counter that she was looking for Henry, but the guy was just being a bit difficult. Henry noticed Maya and gave her a signal to follow him. The two went to the DJ spot, Henry's working station at the skate rink, to talk in private. Henry asked Maya what was going on, but she asked him to talk somewhere more private. As they headed off, the guy behind the counter, whose name was Vicky, sent a message to someone, informing them that he had information on the King Killer, which was Maya. In Henry's office, Maya was skeptical about Vicky, but Henry assured her that he was all right, that he had worked for him for years, and not only at the skate rink business. Henry noticed that Maya was in pain, asking her if it was from a bullet or blade. Maya said it was from a bullet. Henry then called Gretchen, the resident mortician, to patch Maya up, but Maya was also skeptical of her. She asked Henry if Gretchen was an undertaker, and he told Maya that if she wanted a body gone or fixed, then Gretchen was the person to call. Maya and Henry went up to a water tower. At first, Henry showed Bonnie to Maya. He told Maya if Bonnie found out she was in town, and she did not see her, it would break Bonnie's heart. But Maya just ignored it, saying Bonnie's feelings were not her business. Henry disagreed with Maya, but still she did not care. Then Maya showed Henry Fisk's shipping business. She told Henry she needed one train car to send a message to Kingpin's men. Henry refused her request, telling her that he would not bring a war to the people he loved, and the people who loved Maya. He asked her why she was doing this, and Maya said that Kingpin had his run and now it was time for a queen. To that, Henry said to Maya that they did not have that conversation, and he never saw her before going down from the tower, leaving Maya alone. At a hospital, it was revealed that Kingpin was actually still alive. He had lost his eye where Maya had shot him, but he was breathing, which could only mean trouble. In 1200 AD, there were several people who were rowing a boat to an area called Alabama. They were playing a game like hockey, but with ancient equipment. There were two camps, namely the red team and the blue team, and attended by many spectators, mainly the local community. In the first half, the red team was leading the game. They only needed 10 points to win the game, but the blue team didn't want to be left behind. They immediately developed a strategy to win the game because the bet was that if they lost, the team would be expelled from the area forever. The game was very fierce, where the blue team finally took the lead in the ongoing game. The red team, which tried to win the ball and lead the game, always failed because the blue team's strength and strategy were very strong. But in the last seconds of the game, a woman who led the red team got strength and flashes of events that occurred in the past. Perhaps it was from her ancestors who gave her strength. When an orange light appeared from her hand, she was finally able to grab the ball with her hands and get out of the crowd of people who were fighting over the ball by jumping. Finally, the woman managed to put the ball into the blue team's goal, and the match was finally won by the red team. The blue team was forced to be expelled from the area named Alabama. Times have changed, and one day a woman named Maya was sleeping in her bed. Maya couldn't speak, so she carried out activities or interacted using sign language. Then a man named Biscuits sent a message on her cell phone, "I'm coming. Bring things," while waiting outside her house. Maya checked the items she had brought. They had a few conversations. Then the woman asked Biscuits to help her to buy some more things in town. She handed over a list of items to be purchased while giving money to Biscuits. Biscuits arrived at the pawn shop. Then there was a couple who was looking at the items in the shop, and they needed a Navajo carpet, but the carpet was being sold in the anthropology area. Biscuits told them that it was all just a cheap imitation of Madripoor. Biscuits persuaded them to buy goods from the Scully Ickshow grandfather, just because the goods he was selling were authentic handicrafts from genuine craftsmen from the United States. Finally, they agreed to buy goods from the grandfather. The couple finally thanked them by saying, "Ya Coke." Not so long after that, Biscuits had found the item he was looking for. One of them was a small camera like a hummingbird's tongue, which looks like a long cable, but has a small camera at the end. Then in a house, there were 3 women, mainly Chula, Nita, and Yakik, and one man who were discussing their business, and where they should store toast with the sketch on paper that they had drawn. They just had to decide where to store it, to open their old shop again. Their old shop is a Chula shop, which has been closed for a long time due to several reasons, and they wanted to reopen with a new layout and atmosphere. Then the man suddenly talked about how Chula seemed to be busy after Maya's return. He also said that one day when he took Chris to play in the arena, he saw Maya chatting with Henry, who was very similar to Talo. On the other hand, Biscuits came to Maya's house and Maya asked Biscuits to go for a walk, but Biscuits said she couldn't because she had dinner at 7 o'clock with her grandmother, Chula. Maya felt annoyed because she felt rejected and said, "You can have dinner with Chula until you are 60. But in the end, Maya got into the car and Biscuits couldn't resist Maya's wishes. They decided to go for a walk together and carry out a mission that Maya had planned for herself before. At a bar, Chula came to see Henry. They met with the intention of discussing something, namely about Maya's return. Henry asked, "Did she stop by to see you?" The answer was no, she came to see Chula. Actually, Chula just wanted to know the reason for Maya's return. But Henry told Chula that it would be better if she didn't know the reason, and Henry also told Chula that he couldn't help Maya anymore. They agreed that Maya's influence is very dangerous for the people around them, while Chula was worried about her son because Biscuits is very easily influenced by things. Henry told Chula that Maya had a life in New York. She is also an adult, so she doesn't need things like this. As far as Henry knew, Maya was just stopping by in the city, nothing more than that. Chula also advised Henry not to let Bonnie find out about Maya's return, because her heart felt sore. They had been torn apart, and they both also felt sad. Even though the incident had been a long time ago, the memories were still very clear. Chula also asked Henry to tell Maya that she would stick to her original plan, namely just stopping in this city without causing problems for the people in this city. At night in the car, Maya and Biscuits were together. They stopped in a street. Biscuits was confused about whether he had missed something, so they had to stop in the middle of the journey, but Maya really needed one more thing. Maya prepared to go downstairs by borrowing Biscuits' cell phone to install a tracking application and told Biscuits to follow the location according to the tracker. Meanwhile, Maya managed to land precisely on a running train. In the train, there were several men who were guarding each carriage. Each of them was carrying a gun in his hand. Maya slowly ran and jumped from one carriage to another. By carrying a stock of weapons that had been prepared earlier, namely a small camera similar to a hummingbird's tongue, which she inserted into the carriage. Then she saw what was inside the carriage. When Biscuits was following Maya to carry out a mission, Chula called him, but he didn't pick up because of the current condition. Maya also managed to get into a carriage by sawing it. Inside the carriage, there were several boxes which seemed to contain important files, and there was one large box. When Maya finished carrying out her mission in the carriage, she wanted to move to another carriage. But Maya's leg got caught and squeezed between the joints of the train carriages, causing her leg to be injured. Suddenly, a woman who had power appeared in her memory. Maya felt that her power was in her too. So with maximum effort, Maya managed to free her leg, which was stuck. Maya then hurriedly took off her gloves to see what power she already had. When she released it, Maya saw that her hand was emitting an orange light with a spiral shape, and it was burning very brightly on her hand. In another place, Biscuits tried to catch Maya in the train by going through the forest to find an alternative route, but there was no signal to follow the tracking application that Maya had told him. With sore legs, Maya slowly hobbled until she was in the last carriage. Because there was no signal on the tracking application, Maya gave Biscuits a code by producing a spark of light made from the train's wheels. So, Biscuits could see it from afar. By increasing the speed of his car, Biscuits managed to get close to the train and managed to catch Maya behind the train. Maya must quickly get off the train before the train passed through a tunnel. In the end, Maya jumped into the car and landed right behind the car. Finally, they succeeded and stopped the car, but Maya did not succeed in stealing anything in the carriage. On another day, a view of the city was highlighted, and there was a warehouse in the Big Apple. A man who was wearing glasses and a black shirt was encouraging the employees there by checking the shipment that had just arrived. There was also a nice-looking green container with the code D09X. After the big box was opened, there was a small robot which had a green antenna, but the color changed to red, and it blew up the Big Apple warehouse. It turned out that the box and the small robot were bombs which blew up the warehouse so powerfully that it released thick black smoke. Luckily, the man who was wearing glasses managed to survive because he came out of the warehouse first with another man. The warehouse was burnt down. In a different situation, after taking a shower, Henry received a telephone call with a disappointed face. In other conditions, a car arrived at Fisk Shipping, and it turned out to be Henry's car. He met his team to discuss the container that exploded, which was number D09X. Luckily, it wasn't their container, so they were still safe. However, Henry also warned them to keep their mouths shut and not to attract attention. They were still worried, but Henry assured them that if there was a problem regarding this, Henry would be the one to bear all the burden that occurred in this incident. Henry also sent a message to Maya about the exploding warehouse. Arriving at the pawn shop that is owned by Scully Ickshow's grandfather, Maya showed her iron leg, which was caught in the carriage yesterday. She wanted to ask her grandfather for help in fixing it. She showed grandfather the model of the leg she wanted. Grandpa really missed Maya after 20 years of separation. Maya told Grandpa that it wasn't her decision, she didn't want that either. Grandpa also carried out his mission by making the legs that Maya wanted. He tried as hard as possible to make Maya's wishes come true. While waiting for Grandfather to finish his work, Maya replied to a message from Henry that warned Maya that they would find out what Maya had done to the container, and that Maya would not be able to fight Fisk's troops alone. However, Maya was not afraid of Henry's warning. Instead, Maya responded by teasing that they couldn't do much with the melted and destroyed weapon warehouse. On the other hand, Grandfather finally finished making a very beautiful artificial leg for Maya according to what he wanted and was very satisfied with the results. Maya also tried the artificial leg, but it was still not finished when she used it. While walking around trying out the leg, Maya saw a statue of the first Choctaw woman who saved everyone from the cave. Grandfather also explained to Maya that her grandmother could explain her lineage all the way back to the first Choctaw. The Chava and the ancestors always looked after their family when needed. They were complicated, and it was unpredictable when they would call their family. In the afternoon, Chula visited Nita's house, using a new car because Biscuit borrowed Chula's pickup. While Chula was talking to Nita, who was watering the plants, Biscuits came and brought Chula's car with the car damaged in the front. Then there were lots of mud marks all over the car body, seeing that Chula felt confused and shocked to see the condition of the car like that. Biscuits also took his grandmother's car to a repair shop. While selling his PlayStation, which was still in good condition at a price he offered as low as $100. He did it to pay for his grandmother's pickup or car, which was being repaired at the repair shop because it required a lot of money. Hearing this, Bonnie answered Biscuit's offer by asking why her grandmother's pickup was like that. When he was explaining his condition, Biscuits accidentally said about Maya, so Bonnie wondered about Maya's whereabouts, which Biscuits should have kept a secret. But because of his carelessness, Bonnie finally found out that Maya was in the same city. On the other side, Maya was contemplating while enjoying breakfast, namely bread, on the roof of her house. Then Henry came by car to meet Maya. Maya jumped down to Henry from the roof of her house to the front of Henry's car. At the beginning of the conversation, Henry warned Maya again of what she had done, namely placing a bomb in a green container with the code D09X, which was previously on the train, and then sent to the Big Apple warehouse and finally exploded. I didn't know what she was doing was dangerous for herself. Henry also said that Maya didn't know who she was dealing with, which meant that if Maya continued like this, it would be the same. Maya was starting a war with them. However, Maya casually offered Henry to join her because she felt that war had already happened. Henry was worried about current events because he was afraid that what happened in New York would happen again. Here, Maya convinced Henry that she had a strategy. She said that he should start and end in the same place. Henry did not give an answer to Maya's invitation, but Henry said that at the moment he would just clean up the mess that Maya had made first, and told Maya to stay hidden at the moment, because it would not only be herself who would be hurt, but the people who are closest to her could also be hurt. Henry left Maya and made Maya feel annoyed and reminded of memories of her past with someone. Maya took it out by shooting a gun at a place where the past happened, and a shadow of a person appeared, the same as when Maya was on the train carriage. On the screen, a sign says, "In the late 1800s, Indian country was infested with dangerous criminals, threatening the safety of the native nations. Tribes established their own police force to bring these criminals to justice. These tribal police were called the Light Horsemen." A black and white film plays on screen. 4 horsemen were galloping across the land. A woman with long hair, Tuklo, was practicing shooting. She was able to hit a bottle. Her father watched behind her. He was a Light Horseman, but Tuklo was a mighty force all on her own. Tuklo's father gave her a rabbit stick to throw. She threw it, and it cleanly snapped a branch. Tuklo felt proud. She felt it was the right time to join her father as a Light Horseman, but her father rejected her. He said that women gave lives, while men took lives. Tuklo said that life meant nothing if she couldn't protect it. She went away in anger and sat by the river. She remembered that braids were for men. That meant that braids were for Choctaw warriors. Tuklo braided her hair. She wanted to be seen as a Choctaw warrior. One day, the Light Horsemen went to catch criminals. They ambushed the camp and were looking forward to capturing a sleeping criminal. When they uncovered the blanket, inside was a doll. The camp was a trap. The Light Horsemen were the ones getting ambushed. At the river, Tuklo saw a spiral form in the running water. She saw visions of her ancestors, Chafa and Loak. Her hands started to glow. Tuklo rushed to the location of the shootout. She stood on a rock and shot the criminals. Her arrival saved the Light Horsemen. Her father looked proud of her. The film ended. Chula visited Scully at his pawn shop. She complained that Biscuits had damaged her truck. She gave Chula Biscuits' pawn card for the PlayStation 4. Chula knew that Biscuits was covering for Maya. She said that Maya only brought trouble, just like her father. Scully said that she didn't know that because she hadn't seen Maya in 20 years. Chula guessed correctly that Scully had seen Maya recently. He wouldn't tell Chula what Maya was doing. Scully said that Chula and Maya were very much alike. Chula denied that because everything that she did was to protect her family. Scully advised Chula to swallow her pride before she loses her granddaughter. She should meet Maya and listen to what she has to say. Vicky was on a call with Zane. Zane informed him that he would be arriving in Tanaha soon. He told Vicky to get Maya ready to meet them. While Maya was on a walk, she had a vision of her ancestors. Tuklo shouted something at her. Suddenly, a cloth was put over Maya's mouth and she was captured. Maya woke up. She was tied up and hung upside down in the middle of the skate rink. She wiggled and her prosthetic leg disconnected, making her fall. Vicky, Grace, and Bridget approached her and dragged her away roughly. Maya saw her Uncle Henry tied and gagged near the counter. Maya was moved to a storage area and tied to a pole. Vicky and his accomplices argued over who would guard her. Bonnie arrived at Skate Life. She banged on the door, but no one opened it. Inside, Henry tried to yell when he heard her outside. Bonnie walked to the back and entered Skate Life through the delivery entrance. She walked through the empty hall when suddenly Henry appeared, Vicky not far behind him. Vicky went behind the counter, his hand ready on his gun. Bonnie wanted to ask Henry some questions, but he said that it wasn't a good time. The rink was being audited by the IRS, and he was swimming in paperwork. While he talked, he signed to Bonnie to leave. Bonnie did what she was told. After she had left, Vicky readied Henry's hands. Vicky demanded to know if he had known that she would come and if more people would be coming. When Bonnie arrived at her truck, she turned on her walkie-talkie and tried to contact dispatch. Suddenly, someone behind her put their hand over her mouth, stopping her from calling dispatch. Bonnie was tied up and taken to the storage room by Vicky and his accomplices. She was surprised to see Maya there. Maya used a blade hidden in her boot to release herself and Bonnie. She peeked and saw that Vicky and his friends were mixing drinks and were not in a hurry. She got busy trying to find a way to escape. Bonnie told her to stop. She wanted to know why Maya never replied to her texts or her emails. Maya said that they drifted apart, but Bonnie wouldn't accept that for an answer. She said that she would have been there for Maya after her father died, but Maya never contacted her. Henry told Vicky to let him and Maya go, and he would explain that this had all been a misunderstanding. He seemed worried about Vicky, but Vicky said the only one that needed to worry was Maya. Vicky had called someone about Maya's whereabouts. Henry looked more worried now. He said that there was still time for Vicky to get out of this mess alive. Vicky just ignored him. He said that Henry should have turned Maya in himself and gotten her bounty when she came home. Now it was Vicky who would be taking the bounty. Vicky and his accomplices went to the storage room because they heard a noise. They argued and Vicky's phone was slapped away from his hand. Maya picked up the phone from the floor. They realized that Maya was not tied up anymore. Grace pointed her gun at Maya, but Vicky told her to put the gun away. If Maya was dead, they wouldn't get paid. Grace made Bonnie tell Maya to put her zip ties back on. Bonnie signed to tell her that someone had paid Vicky and his friends to get her. Maya punched Bonnie, surprising Vicky and his friends. They took Bonnie outside the storage room and Maya locked herself inside. Vicky received a text from Zane, telling him that he had arrived. Grace seemed relieved. She and Vicky took Bonnie with them, leaving Bridget to guard the door. When Zane arrived, Vicky greeted him. Vicky wanted his achievement to find Maya be recognized, but Zane just ignored him. He warned Vicky and made sure the information was legit. Vicky assured him it was legit. Vicky wanted him to show the money first before he told them Maya's location, but Zane said it was somewhere safe. Vicky pressed again to see the money, but Zane and his henchmen ignored him as they looked for Maya. Inside the storage room, Maya was building a weapon out of the material she found. She used the weapon to take out the lights. This surprised Bridget, who was guarding the door. Bridget went inside, but Maya managed to ambush her and knock her out. At the rink, Vicky tried to get control of the situation, but he failed. Zane and his henchmen ignored his demand to see the money. Grace commented that Vicky was losing control of the situation. Vicky denied that. He suddenly received a text. Maya had sent him a picture of Bridget tied up on the floor. Vicky realized that things were getting out of hand. Zane noticed his agitation and asked if everything was all right. Vicky told him there weren't any problems. Vicky asked for permission to leave, but Zane wouldn't let him go. Vicky became more and more agitated. He eventually took a risk and tried to get away. Zane instructed one of his men to take Vicky out. Grace ran away. One of the henchmen asked Zane if they should run after Grace, but Zane said to ignore her. Zane asked Henry where Maya was, but Henry wouldn't tell him. Suddenly, music turned on really loudly and the lights turned red. They realized that it was Maya. Henry told Zane that the circuit breaker was in the laser tag area. Zane was furious, yelling at his henchmen to find Maya and to turn off the music. The music was very loud and Zane had to shout to be heard. Henry looked amused. He was dragged to the circuit breaker. One of the henchmen tried to turn off the music, but the circuit breaker was rigged. Electricity sparked and he flew backwards. Henry laughed and someone knocked him out. Zane and his men knew that Maya had raked the skate rink, so they went looking for her carefully. One of the men picked up his gun from the floor, but Maya kicked him and took his gun. She took out many others. The henchmen were no match for her. She even smashed one of them and threw him through the wall. The men struggled to take her out. Maya used the gun skillfully, just like Tolko did. When she ran out of bullets, she used martial arts to fight the men. At one point, she used the controller cable from an arcade game as a whip. None of the men could get near her. Henry stared at her in disbelief. Maya was a killing machine. Maya was able to channel Tolko's aim and never missed a target when she threw a ball at them. She only stopped when she saw that Zane had Bonnie in his grip. Zane had Maya and Henry on their knees, ready to be executed. One of his henchmen still had Bonnie in his grip, but a call came through to Zane. He seemed annoyed, but he picked it up. The person on the other end must have told him to stop what he was doing. Zane and his men left a bewildered Maya, Henry, and Bonnie at the skate rink. Outside, Maya apologized for punching Bonnie. She had to make the punch look real. Maya told Bonnie to go home. Bonnie wanted to wait for the police, but Maya didn't want the police to get involved. Maya promised that she wouldn't let Bonnie get hurt. Bonnie finally agreed to leave after Maya promised that they would talk again. Maya and Henry wondered what had happened to make Zane leave. Henry was mad. They had almost died because of Maya's bounty. But Maya said they wouldn't have survived if someone didn't call off Zane. Henry knew only Wilson Fisk could pull that off, yet Maya was sure that she shot Fisk in the face. Henry said that after the events of that night, he would accept Maya's offer and help her. Scully visited Maya, bringing her the new prosthetic leg. It was flashier than the one she requested. Scully said that it was her way of showing she was a Choctaw warrior. It would be her way of representing her people in New York. He offered to paint over it if she didn't like it, but Maya declined. She joked that she would cover the prosthetic leg with her pants. Scully said that he didn't meddle in her family business since he and Shula weren't together anymore. He asked if Maya would go and visit her grandmother, but Maya said that Shula didn't want to see her. Scully said that Shula's heart was broken when Maya left after her mother died. He told Maya how Shula had left the house as it was. Maya had noticed. The museum was like a museum of her childhood and memories. Maya said that Shula could have reached out anytime, but she never did. Scully said that sometimes people do things that they wish were different. He then helped Maya put on her new prosthetic leg. Scully left and Maya looked deep in thought. Maya rode her motorbike around town. She watched Bonnie drink at a bar, but she didn't go inside. When she arrived home, she was shocked to see Wilson Fisk waiting on her porch. Flashback to 2008. After school, May wanted to buy ice cream at an ice cream cart, but the one she wanted was out. The ice cream vendor told her to use her words if she wanted something, and he mocked her hand gestures. Wilson Fisk looked on from inside the car. Seeing the man mock Maya made him upset. When Maya had entered the car, he told her to wait because there was something that he needed to do. Fisk dragged the ice cream vendor to an alley and beat him to a bloody pulp. When he was done, he made a call and asked for a new suit. He didn't want Maya to see him like that. To his surprise, Maya was watching him from the end of the alley. He told her not to be afraid, but Maya didn't seem scared. She walked up to the ice cream man and kicked him. Fisk was pleasantly surprised. He took her hand and led her out of the alley. Fast forward to 2021. Maya was having dinner at Fisk's apartment. An ASL interpreter was standing behind him. Fisk proposed a toast because it was time for Maya's final lesson. Maya was surprised, but Fisk assured her that they would still have their Sunday evening dinners. He explained that her tutelage had come to an end. He said that Maya was ready to move from theoretical to practical. Maya looked pleased. Fisk's final lesson was, "You and I, we are the only ones we can trust." Fisk dismissed the ASL interpreter, who walked away with Fisk's bodyguard to the hallway. The hallway was covered in a plastic sheet. The ASL interpreter told the bodyguard that she didn't know anything and she wouldn't say anything to anyone. She begged him to let her go. There was a sound of muffled gunshot and a body thudding. Later, the ASL interpreter's bloody body was wrapped in the plastic sheet. In the present day, Maya had just arrived home to find Fisk waiting on her front porch. His men grabbed her from behind, and they put a special contact lens into her eye. The contact lens was an automated interpreter. It would interpret Fisk's voice into sign language so that Maya could understand him. It also interpreted Maya's sign language into voice so that Fisk could understand her. He had commissioned it for her, and he gave it as a gift. Fisk wanted to be able to communicate with Maya without an in-between. Maya asked what he was doing there, and Fisk said he wanted to have their regular Sunday dinner. He had brought wine and a bag of food. Maya said that it was still Thursday. Maya led Fisk into the house. He said that he was not angry with her, despite what she did. She did what she had to do, just like he had taught her, and Fisk was impressed with her. He opened his bandage to show her the damage. He assumed that a part of Maya was glad that he was alive, but Maya said he was wrong. She absolutely wanted him dead. Fisk said he saw relief in her face when he appeared. He seemed disappointed that she used violence against him, but Maya said violence was their language. She used to see his violence as heroic, but not anymore. Fisk said he always had her back. He said he didn't like seeing her hurt, and that hasn't changed. He went to close the curtains. Maya said she would open the wine. While Fisk looked at a photo of Maya's family when she was a child, she poured the wine down the sink. When they sat down for dinner, Fisk asked where the wine was. Maya said she had poured it down the sink. Fisk said that it was a highly recommended wine. When he handed her the utensils, Maya dropped her knife. The situation was tense, and she and Fisk both went to get it. Fisk ended up picking it up and handing it to Maya blade first. She placed it on the side farthest to him. Fisk reminded her that they were the only ones each other could trust. He saw everything that she was. Maya asked him again why he was there. Fisk offered her a proposition. He offered her everything in his empire. All she had to do was come back to New York with him. Maya was surprised. Fisk said that he would be heading back to New York on the weekend. In the meantime, he would be waiting for her at Choctaw Casino. Maya went to see Henry at Skate Life. He was shocked to learn that Maya and Fisk had dinner. She told him that Fisk had offered her the queen pin. Henry said Maya would be stupid if she took the offer. She assumed that Henry thought she would be unable to do it, but she was wrong. Henry knew she would be able to rule Kingpin's empire, and that made him scared. Maya didn't expect his response. Henry said that he was 45 and alone because everyone he cared about was taken by Fisk. After his brother, Maya's father, died, Henry tried to get out of the business. Fisk threatened to kill him if he did. That's why Henry returned to Tamaha and did Fisk's dirty work. Henry didn't want the same thing to happen to Maya, but she confronted him about what happened. If he was so concerned for her, why did he leave her alone in New York? Henry apologized and admitted that he was confused and scared. At the fairground, the Choctaw Nation powwow was being prepared. Chula was going to help Caroline with the display, but she suddenly had a vision. At the same time, in Henry's office, Maya had a vision too. Maya saw Chala, Tuklo, and another woman giving birth in a forest. Henry tried to get her to focus, but it didn't work. He took Maya to Chula's house. When Maya regained consciousness, she was surprised to see Chula. She asked Henry what he was doing. Henry said that there was something going on with her and Chula could help. Maya seemed mad at him, but she exited the car and went to Chula. No greeting passed between them, but Chula ushered her inside. Inside the kitchen, Chula offered Maya cookies and a drink. Maya was annoyed. She said to stop pretending that things between them were normal. Chula made Maya tell her what made Henry think was so important. Maya told her grandmother that she was starting to lose it. She had been having dreams even when she wasn't asleep. The dreams have been getting more intense and overwhelming in the last 24 hours. Maya said she had been having these visions since she arrived in Tamaha. In her visions, she saw a cave collapsing, trees, and a woman braiding her hair. Chula said that she saw the same things when she was giving birth to Maya's mother, Kalo. In a flashback, Chula told Maya how she had complications during her pregnancy. Both mother and baby's lives were in danger. The doctors at the White Hospital had told her that it was in God's hands, but Chula's family ignored the doctor's orders and took her out of the hospital. They brought her to a midwife so she could be with other Native women. Chula was given a stick to chomp on, and her vision changed. She could see the energy in the trees. Her breathing became steady, and she saw her ancestors. Chula admitted that they weren't always with her, but they knew when they were needed. Tulo's birth was a life or death for mother and baby, so her ancestors assisted her through the birth. Chula said that Tulo was born with a gift. She was a healer. Chula said that there was an unbroken connection between a mother and her child, so when Tulo died, Chula's heart was shattered and she wanted to die. Maya said that her mother's death made Chula disown her, but Chula corrected her. She disowned William, Maya's father, because she was angry with him. She couldn't bear to be around Maya because of how similar she was to Tulo. Maya said that growing up, her father always told her how Chula had broken up their family. But Chula said that generations were always echoing and reaching out to them when they needed it the most. Maya became mad. She was just a child back then, and she needed her grandmother, but Chula chose herself. Maya walked out angrily. When Maya had left, Chula went downstairs to a craft room. She put away a sheet that was covering a mannequin. On the mannequin was an unfinished shirt. Chula sobbed while she touched it. Biscuits was at a car salvage yard with Woody. He was looking for something to fix Chula's car. Woody asked if Biscuits knew what he was looking for. Biscuits answered that he wasn't sure what he needed, but he was certain he'd know when he found it. He told Woody something that Chula always said: "There's nothing too broke to fix. If you want it bad enough, don't throw it away." Woody walked away, leaving Biscuits to do his search. In her craft room, Chula was working on the shirt. She was doing some carving. On the mannequin, the shirt had more details than before. There were embroidered patterns and other embellishments. Maya went to the Choctaw Casino. She went to Fisk's room with her gun out, ready to shoot. Fisk was sitting at his desk, his back towards her. He turned around and stood up when she arrived. Fisk suspected that Maya had come to kill him again. He talked about how he had always thought of her as a daughter, especially since they were all each other had. But Maya said that her memories were a lie that turned a monster into a hero. Fisk was hurt when she called him a monster. He said that Maya always knew what she was getting into. He asked if Maya pleaded for the lives of the people that she killed for him. That made him ask who the monster was. But Maya said that he isolated her by telling her that he was the only one she could trust. She also believed that he gave her the contact lens because he didn't care about her enough to learn sign language. That made Fisk mad. He shouted that he had always been there for her. He realized that he had failed her the way that his father failed him. Fisk showed Maya a hammer. He said that he always kept the hammer with him to remind himself where he came from and what he had to do to get there. Fisk wanted to pass on the hammer to Maya. He said that his father always beat his mother until Fisk stopped him with the hammer. Maya realized that Fisk's father died because he killed him. Fisk said he killed his father so he could be free and to move forward in his life. Fisk handed Maya the hammer and told her to free herself and to free him. He was asking her to kill him like he killed his own father, but Maya placed the hammer back in its box. Fisk's face is unreadable. He said that he and Maya had come full circle. He told her to come home with him in the morning. Maya spent a long time thinking. She remembered memories of her and Fisk in New York, back when she was a child and he took care of her. She remembered when she did his dirty work, and all the people she hurt and killed. She remembered Fisk signing to her that he loved her, and her signing that she loved him right back. She then remembered the people that cared about her: Henry, Biscuits, Bonnie, Scully, Chula, her father, and her mother. Maya made a decision and got on her motorbike, leaving Tamaha. In a private jet, Fisk received a call. It was his henchman who had been tasked to tail Maya. The henchman reported that Maya was gone. Fisk was furious. On the edge of the lake, there was a bird that was pecking at the trunk of a large tree with a loud sound, and there was a girl who was hiding among the bushes. The girl tried to catch the pecking bird using a slingshot, and the slingshot hit the pecking bird. Because of it, the bird fell down and was picked up by the little boy using a blue cloth. After that, the girl ran towards a woman while complaining that she found an injured bird using sign language because she couldn't talk. The mother asked her child that the bird couldn't have been hurt just like that. In the end, the little girl said honestly that he didn't hit the bird on purpose. She just wanted to measure his abilities. He regretted and apologized for his behavior. The mother also gave advice to her child that they should not harm living creatures while telling a story about the Choctaw Nation. They taught the birds to speak or say something by pecking with their beaks on trees to give a message. The birds do it as a warning when the enemy approaches their nation. Knowing this story, the child felt even more worried and guilty about her actions until she asked her mother, "Can the bird be cured?" The mother immediately put her index and middle fingers together and brought them closer to the bird, and an orange light came out. Finally, the bird was able to return to normal. On the other hand, there was footage of the girl and her mother being in a car on a road when suddenly another car hit their car. The accident could not be avoided, so it injured the girl and her mother in the car. The girl woke up and looked next to her seat, but the woman, who was her mother, was unconscious. Meanwhile, snow was falling in the middle of the accident. There was a town where there were lots of houses and green trees, and there was a pawn shop owned by Grandpa Scully. Chula, who was wearing a cowboy hat, entered the pawn shop while calling Scully, who was sleeping, to wake up immediately because she wanted to invite him to do business. She also wanted to know whether the sewing machine she had kept was still there or not. It turned out that the machine was still there and in good condition because Scully cleaned it and he lubricated the sewing machine so that the machine could be used properly again. Scully was also sure that one day Chula would take it back, so he didn't sell the sewing machine to anyone else. Then Scully invited Chula to take the machine for free, but he wanted Chula to promise that one day she would return to this shop again. After visiting Grandpa Scully's shop, Chula went to his self-service shop, but when she entered, Chula accidentally bumped into a little child and scattered many of the envelopes she was carrying on the floor, so she had to clean them up. After that, a bald-headed man who was wearing a black suit came to help Chula for picking up the envelope that had fallen. Chula saw him and asked, "Are you coming to see Pow Pow?" Yes, he did come to meet the Pow Pow, because all the Choctaw people came here usually to meet the Pow Pow. The man also saw the necklace that Chula was wearing and said, "The necklace you are wearing is American Sign Language, which means I love you." Then they talked about the sign language they knew. So Chula learned sign language for her granddaughter, who had died, so she could only wear the necklace to continue to remember the presence of her granddaughter, and the man learned sign language for his daughter. They had both lost someone they loved, and they couldn't get rid of that pain. Because the man was curious about Chula's granddaughter, the man finally asked Chula to tell her how the granddaughter she was talking about turned out to be Maya. At a vehicle stop shop and restaurant, a motorbike arrived, and it turned out that the person who was riding the motorbike was Maya. When she stopped, Maya took off her helmet and carried a virtual bag and walked towards the restaurant. While walking, she saw a trash can, and she took off her eye contact lenses, then threw them in the trash can. Then, at a carnival party, Biscuits was a parking attendant. He directed a white car that had just arrived. while the public parking lot was at Rudge at Two Moons. However, the car wanted to park there so he could enjoy the native fare. He hadn't finished explaining yet, but the car was already driving towards the place he wanted. Because he was annoyed, Biscuits complained to Billy Jack and said that Shula shouldn't have arrived here early. Maya, who had been at a restaurant, ordered coffee and sat by the window while reading a message from Biscuits, who asked about her current whereabouts. But Maya didn't reply, just read it. Biscuits then sent a message again asking if Maya had seen Pockney or Bonnie, because they never arrived at the carnival festival even though an hour had passed. Reading the message, Maya became worried. She looked out the window, and there was a pecking bird standing on a wooden pole and then flying as if it was signaling something to Maya. Finally, Maya rushed off on her motorbike to Oklahoma, a place where Native Americans live. Maya continued to ride her motorbike, and she passed shady green trees and houses. In a hurry, Maya arrived at a house. She ran into the house, carrying a gun and ready to shoot, opening parts of the house one by one. While in her room, Maya was surprised to see that in the room, it turned out that her mother was standing in the room and looked at Maya, seeing her mother. Maya approached her while shedding tears. Then her mother said, "You have endured this pain for a long time," as she put her index and middle fingers together and placed them on Maya's chest, and light came out of her hands as if she was treating Maya. Then flashes of the past came back. Maya was in a car with broken windows like an accident. Then next to her seat was her mother, who sat down and said, "You are not alone. All of us who have ever come are part of you. We echo through you." Her mother also told Maya to get rid of the pain, but Maya didn't know how. But her mother would help Maya to get rid of the pain, and Maya's ancestors would also help her with Chafa, which is a flash of Maya's ancestor because they were protectors of their family. At the moment, it was Maya's turn. Maya was afraid because she always invited danger to come, but her mother reassured her that she had many talents, namely strategy, ingenuity, fierceness, and love. All of this was embedded in the clothes that her mother had made, because every stitch of the clothes shows that Maya is part of them, and they are within Maya. Finally, Maya was sure of herself. Then the image of her mother disappeared from before her, leaving only the red clothes. At the carnival party, there were many food vendors and also visitors who came, and the women who were wearing traditional clothes with headbands containing white feathers were sitting next to each other, as well as the men who were wearing the same clothes. Then in the parking lot, several men who were using white cars got out of their cars. 2 other white cars arrived, but in the car there were several men carrying weapons and getting ready to get out. They were on standby to look for Maya Lopez, because she was heavily armed and dangerous. People who search for Maya have a mark on their neck, namely a tattoo depicting 2 swords crossed to form the letter X. The Pow Pow party began with a dance performance that was performed by the people there. Maya stood in the middle of the people who were performing. Their whole bodies made sound when their bodies moved. Maya continued to walk following the group of dancers while being alert to her surroundings. The man in the blue shirt who was driving the big white car got into the car. When he got in the car, he pointed his binoculars at a group of people who were dancing in the Pow Pow Festival arena. Near the exhibition and arts building, there was a pecking bird that perched on the building's lights and was visible by Maya. Maya walked slowly away from the line of people who were dancing in a circle while singing according to local customs. On the other hand, a black car appeared, and it turned out to be Henry's car. He got out of the car and called Biscuits to ask where Maya was, but Biscuits didn't know where Maya was. Biscuits also told Henry that there was a suspicious man, and he brought a lot of white people, although Biscuits was not sure, but their behavior was very bad. Henry also told Biscuits to remain alert to the current situation, which is dangerous, and to prepare himself by bringing a good weapon, in case something would happen. Maya opened a dark warehouse while ready to carry a gun. She walked slowly, and the lights suddenly turned on as Maya walked. A bald-headed man appeared with his right eye that looked like it was injured because it was red. The man used sign language, and several men, Bonnie and Chula, came out from behind him. Then they stood around Maya, and one of the men's subordinates took Maya's weapon. Bonnie also helped the man to talk to Maya using signs. The man asked why Maya became a betrayer, but Maya said he was the first one who betrayed. The man told Maya that he was the one who caused this to happen to her. Maya answered him that they had nothing to do with this because they were in her blood and her heart, and they were part of her. She was their successor, not his successor. The man smiled and said it was good she knew what it felt like when he killed her whole family, just like he killed her father. Outside the warehouse, in the festival arena, there was Henry, who was looking for his virtual whereabouts, while alertly seeing a man who was wearing a blue shirt sat in a white car, as if he was observing the conditions around the carnival. He also signaled to the people who were standing by in the car that at the moment was the time to act. In the building, Maya was hit by the man's men. When Maya fell down, a flash of Maya's ancestors appeared with their strengths so that Maya became brave and stood up again as if behind her there were all her ancestors who helped her. Maya looked at Bonnie and convinced herself to believe in Maya. Maya also gave all of her abilities by stretching out her hands. Then that power appeared on Chula and Bonnie, who were being held by the man. Their hands were emitting orange light, and simultaneously they began to attack the men. While the music from outside echoed loudly, it increased the strength of their resistance. On the other hand, Biscuits came with a big car, like a car for the mountains, and ran over 2 white cars that were armed white people with sharp weapons inside. It made them panicked. Likewise, Henry was ready to fire his bullet at the man in blue, and the bullet hit the man in blue until he fell to the ground from the top of his car. In the warehouse, Maya, Bonnie, and Chula managed to defeat them. Leaving only the bald-headed man, Maya immediately attacked him, making him sit in front of her, and Maya also did her magic on his head, making him got Flash in the past, where he was in a room and sitting on the bed. He cried while listening to his parents who were fighting and hitting the wall, saying that their son was obsessed and very stupid. Maya came and gave him advice. She told him not to listen to them anymore, let go of all his pain and anger until he cried and screamed. Then he took a hammer to hit him, but Maya continued to hold him until finally his uncle woke up and asked, "What are you doing?" As he got up, assisted by his men, they left by car and the police arrived. The backstory of Maya came back to her. In a lake near her mother's house, little Maya was holding a bird that had been injured and had been treated and was taken by them to be released back into the wild, but Maya, who was still a little girl, didn't have a heart and was worried that she would not meet the bird. She was hesitant to let it go. Her mother assured Maya that the bird would definitely come back and meet Maya one day. Maya finally agreed, and they released the bird together, and the bird flew freely into the sky. Back to the present, after the incident at the carnival party, at night Maya sat outside of her house. She looked at every corner of her house. When it was clear that her parents were sitting and talking in a very warm family atmosphere, she was also playing with her sister until they laughed together. In Maya's mind, she really missed those times. In the afternoon, Maya went out by her motorbike, passing through forests, railways, and also shops. Apart from that, Bonnie, Biscuits, Henry, and Chula were enjoying eating together while talking and laughing together. Then Maya arrived at a place where they were gathered, and she was greeted with a smile by Chula until they hugged together with great emotion. All of them enjoyed the moment.